Heartwarming miracle, girl's incredible kindness for a woman in a wheelchair revealed an unexpected bond. Lily's heart raced the day she met Mrs. Henderson. It was one of those golden afternoons where the sun dipped low, casting a magical hue over the tree-lined streets of her quaint suburban town. As she skipped home from school, a glint of silver caught her eye. There, in the house next door, a frail woman in a wheelchair sat alone. Mrs. Henderson had just moved in, and the neighborhood whispered hushed rumors about her past. But to Lily, she saw a spark in the wise eyes that peered out from beneath wispy curls, something extraordinary beneath the surface. Lily started helping Mrs. Henderson, running small errands, and they quickly struck up an unexpected friendship. Every grocery trip was peppered with laughter, and each homemade meal shared was a chance to swap stories. With every passing day, Lily's heart swelled with joy. Would her family cook such delicious meals if they had time? Would her parents smile like Mrs. Henderson did, as she recounted tales of her youth? Yet, something yanked at her spirit, the whispers from her friends, their unease when Lily mentioned Mrs. Henderson. "Why do you bother with her?" they'd say, eyes wide at the thought. It stung, but every time she returned from the Henderson house, she felt lighter, uplifted by the strength of the woman who weathered her own storms with dignity. Then one evening, the air changed. Lily was rummaging through the mail when a letter crinkled in her hand. It was for Mrs. Henderson. As Lily read it, her stomach twisted. Medical bills. Overdue. The world crashed down around her. She wanted to help but felt helpless. What if she lost her home? She whispered, tears stabbing at her eyes. That night, she lay awake, her dreams overshadowed by worry. Inspiration struck like lightning. A fundraiser. She exclaimed to no one but the shadows. If only the community could see the love and kindness hidden beneath their prejudice. They could understand Mrs. Henderson's beauty if they could just hear her story. Lily spent days organizing everything. Posters, bake sales, talent shows. She poured her heart into it. But when she shared her plans with her parents, an argument broke out. "We're barely making ends meet, Lily." Her dad's voice thundered. Lily's chest tightened. Could she really make this happen? With newfound determination, she marched into that event, her heart racing. "Before we continue," she interjected, raising her voice over the murmurs, "I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying this journey, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." As emotions surged, she stepped onto the makeshift stage, fear and hope colliding in her chest. Mrs. Henderson isn't just a wheelchair, she's a person with dignity, a life full of love. The atmosphere thickened, the crowd restless. Then, a hush fell over the room as a devastating secret spilled from the shadows. Lily's knees weakened. Could the truth shatter their delicate bond and send her dream crumbling? With the weight of her community's judgment heavy on her shoulders, Lily stood firm, determined to fight for the woman who had gifted her so much more than kindness. She was ready to confront the ugly truths, but would she have the strength to bridge the gaps that threatened to tear them apart? The future felt uncertain, but one thing was clear, Lily wasn't about to back down. The stakes were higher than ever. Lily took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest like a drum. The room had fallen silent, all eyes glued to her as she gathered her thoughts. There was weight in the air, but she refused to let it suffocate her. "Mrs. Henderson," she began, her voice steady but soft, "is more than the labels others put on her. She has stories worth sharing, wisdom we can learn from." She glanced at Mrs. Henderson, whose eyes sparkled with pride and gratitude. But from the back of the room, someone scoffed. "What do you know about her? She's just an old lady in a wheelchair." The voice rang out, slicing through Lily's resolve like a knife. She felt the prickle of humiliation but grounded herself. "I know she lived a life filled with love and loss," Lily responded. "She taught me about resilience, kindness, and the power of friendship. Isn't that what we should celebrate?" Her heart raced faster with each word, the room still hanging on her every syllable, just as she had urged them to listen. There were nods of uncertainty from a few faces, but others remained skeptical. This was not going as she had hoped. She sensed Mrs. Henderson's hand tremble slightly as she reached for Lily's arm. "Thank you, dear," Mrs. Henderson whispered, her voice a fragile whisper in the silence. "I've seen how hearts can change, especially when someone takes a chance." The atmosphere shifted ever so slightly, as curious whispers replaced the tension. A few kids in the front row leaned forward, drawn into the warmth of Mrs. Henderson's smile. "My life hasn't been easy," she started, her voice gathering strength, "but every day, I choose to find joy. I want to show you that no one is just what they seem on the outside." As her story unfurled, filling the room with images of laughter and love, the crowd began to soften. A young girl near the front wiped away a tear, while another's face lit up in understanding. Lily's spirits lifted, the light of possibility igniting in her chest. Suddenly, a voice chimed in. It was Tom, one of the toughest boys in school. "I had no idea," he said, letting the revelation sink in. "I thought you just liked to sit and wait around. I'm sorry." With that, the floodgates opened. Others began to share their thoughts, confessing feelings they'd kept hidden for too long. Lily felt the power of connection wrapping around them like a warm blanket as they moved from judgment to compassion. But then the moment faltered, as the rumor from earlier crept back into her mind. But, what happened that made her lose everything? A voice from the back shouted. The reminder of the past loomed like a shadow over their budding relationship. Lily's throat tightened. Would that darkness tear through their shared light? Mrs. Henderson sighed, "Life is unpredictable, dear. I lost my husband, and in my grief, I let everything slip." The collective gasps were almost palpable. "But that doesn't define who I am. Just like it shouldn't define any of you." More murmurs spread through the room. Had they all misjudged her? Lily felt a flicker of hope, but the question still nagged at her: what would happen when they learned more about those dark times? Would they still choose to fight for her? As the evening wound down, Lily caught Mrs. Henderson's eye, uncertainty clouding her thoughts. She had started something beautiful, but now she wondered if the truth lurking ahead would threaten the love they had built. Lily raised her chin, ready to confront whatever lay next. "Together, we can change perceptions," she declared, invigorated by the night's warmth. "Let us not only raise funds but change hearts. Let us show this community what kindness truly looks like." With determination in her heart, she turned to the crowd, ready to rally them for what was coming. Would they support her? Would they embrace Mrs. Henderson's story? Her next steps felt daunting, the stakes now clearer than ever. As the crowd came alive with cheers and an unexpected bond began to solidify, Lily felt the wave of possibility surge, but deep inside, she knew the real challenge was still to come. With the weight of her future ahead, she took a moment to breathe, longing for the strength to forge ahead. Would love triumph over prejudice, or would the darker shadows of the past eclipse their blossoming friendship? Lily stood before the crowd, her heart still racing, but now with a different kind of energy. The cheers echoed around her, filling her with a rush of hope. She could feel Mrs. Henderson's warmth beside her, and it emboldened her to take the next leap. "Let us make a plan," Lily said, her voice ringing clear. "We need to organize a fundraiser, something that showcases Mrs. Henderson's story while bringing the community together." She glanced at Mrs. Henderson, whose eyes widened with doubt and disbelief. "We can make a difference." A hand shot up. It was Mia, one of the quieter girls who had often sat at the back of the classroom. "What if we hosted a talent show?" she suggested hesitantly. "Everyone could perform something. We could invite everyone, parents, friends, even local businesses. That's brilliant. Lily exclaimed, the idea igniting a spark within her. We could call it Hearts and Talent for Change. Think about it, everyone sharing their unique gifts while raising money for Mrs. Henderson. It would unite us all. The energy in the room shifted, filtering through the students like a whisper of wind stirring leaves. Conversations bubbled up, excitement mingling with anticipation as they began to brainstorm ideas, each kid more animated than the last. Within moments, the room erupted into plans, a bake sale alongside the talent show, a car wash, and even a raffle. Lily could hardly believe how quickly they had shifted from skepticism to motivation. Perhaps Mrs. Henderson's story was doing more than just inspiring, it was sparking a fire in each of them. But even amidst the joy, the shadow of Mrs. Henderson's past loomed. As they finalized their plans, Lily's belly tightened with unease. Each cheer and laugh sat heavy with the weight of knowing that the truth about her challenges still lay unshared. Can I tell them about my life? Mrs. Henderson asked, finally finding her voice in the wave of excitement. The crowd quieted, all eyes shifting back to her. Lily realized Mrs. Henderson needed this moment too, to liberate herself in front of the very community they were trying to help. That's an incredible idea, Mrs. Henderson, Lily encouraged softly. Your story will help connect us all even more. The older woman smiled, her eyes shimmering with tears. Okay. I'll share. Perhaps it's time to peel away the layers I've kept hidden. As she began to speak, recounting moments of hardship and resilience, from the joyful days of her youth to the dark sadness of loss that had clouded her recent years, the crowd listened intently. People leaned in, drawn closer together, a woven tapestry of compassion and understanding beginning to emerge. Each word shed a layer of judgment, revealing more of the woman they were fighting for. Tension twisted in Lily's gut as questions clawed at her mind. What if some in the crowd couldn't bear the weight of her past? Would acceptance still flourish when they learned the darker chapters of her life? Before she knew it, words spilled from Mrs. Henderson's lips, stories that transcended the barriers of time and age, tales of love, laughter, and the sharing of joy in the midst of suffering. The words were cathartic, washing over everyone like warm sunlight breaking through dark clouds. Then, just as the raw emotion filled the room, Lily felt the storm brewing again within her, the memory of the boy's scoff, the doubts from the earlier part of the evening. How would they react when the applause settled? Would the air remain charged with support, or would vulnerability open doors to discomfort? Let us not just hear her story, Lily said, lifting her chin and speaking directly to the crowd. Let us live it. Let us show our love through actions, not just words. But in that moment, someone from the back shouted a question that hung in the air like a thunderclap. But why should we care? Why does it matter to us? Lily felt her face flush and the crowd fell silent again. The stakes had shifted. Now, more than ever, they needed to connect not just with Mrs. Henderson's tale, but with each other. As the fear of uncertainty swept through the room, Lily's heart pounded louder than before. Could she shift the energy back to hope? Could she show them that every thread in their community counted, weaving a larger story than any of them could alone? The real test was ahead, and she could feel its weight pressing down on her. Lily scanned the faces around her, searching for a sign of understanding, a glimmer of connection. The tension in the air was thick, almost suffocating. She could feel the heat rising in her cheeks, the fear bubbling just beneath the surface. Everyone was waiting for her to fill the void. Mrs. Henderson is not just a story, she urged, their eyes slowly shifting back towards the woman on stage. She is one of us. She is our teacher, our neighbor, she is part of our community. What we do here makes ripples beyond today. Murmurs swept through the crowd. Some nodding, others still skeptical. What if we look at it this way? A voice broke through the murmurs. It was Sam, the basketball star, usually so full of bravado. Life is hard for all of us in different ways. If we can lighten Mrs. H's burden, then it's something we all can feel good about, you know. Lily felt a wave of relief wash over her. Sam's words acted like a balm, soothing the swelling anxieties. The silence began to change. It was no longer an ominous cloud but a gentle mist of understanding. Exactly. Lily seized the moment, her pulse quickening with renewed determination. When we perform, when we share our talents, we are doing it together. We're showing up for one another. We're proving that we care. As if the ghost of doubt lifted, the energy in the room shifted once more. Kids clapped, and the applause ignited sparks of enthusiasm. Mia stood up. I could sing. I've been practicing. And suddenly, everyone was chiming in an overflowing chatter of offerings. Someone would bake cookies, another would juggle, and even the shyest among them confessed to playing an instrument. In that moment, their collective strength seemed so tangible, it felt like Lily could reach out and touch it. Hearts all around her opened just a little wider, unraveling threads to each other. The doubts began locking in softer, unshakable hopes instead. Now, Lily said, raising her voice again to gather their attention. We need to share our why. Why does this matter? Because every single person has a story, Mia's voice rang out again, emboldened now. And we all have the chance to uplift each other. That seemed to light a fire under everyone. Multiple voices began to rise, truths spilling out. Connections began to form, laughter intermingled with tears. It was a revelation, the warmth in the room surged stronger. But just as hope began to blossom, Lily noticed Mrs. Henderson's face. Conflicted, a blush creeping onto her cheeks, her smile faltered for just a moment, revealing vulnerability layered between pride and fear. Let us not forget why we're here, Lily said gently, her eyes never leaving Mrs. Henderson. Let us not let her story drift into the background. Mrs. Henderson deserves our love, and now she has given us a way to show it. The crowd turned back to their teacher. Mrs. Henderson, will you be part of the talent show? Perhaps you could even share more of your incredible journey. For a heartbeat, silence hung in the air again. Everyone held their breath, wondering how she would respond. Finally, Mrs. Henderson nodded, her voice wavering but resolute, I would be honored. Perhaps sharing my story will help someone else gather courage from it. We can weave a tapestry that connects us all. The room erupted into applause again, the sound swelling like a wave crashing against the shore. A resounding chorus of support erupted, and Lily's heart soared. But amid the applause, a flicker of doubt remained lodged in Lily's mind. Would her classmates follow through? Would their plans come to fruition? More importantly, would they embrace Mrs. Henderson's story as part of their own? As the cheers echoed around her, the haunting question lingered in the back of her mind, was this the beginning of something beautiful, or merely the calm before a deeper storm? In that vulnerable moment, she understood that their community had begun to change, but the journey ahead promised both light and challenges. So, lost in a maze of hope and apprehension, Lily took a deep breath. They had taken a step forward. But what awaited them on the precipice of this newfound unity? Only time would tell. The excitement in the room had reached a fever pitch, but for Lily, the noise faded into a distant hum. She was consumed by her thoughts, wrestling with the weight of their new mission. All around her, her classmates were caught up in plans, smiles lighting up their faces, but doubts danced in the corners of her mind like shadows. Did they really understand the depth of this commitment? Sure, everyone was on board now, but when the glitz of the talent show wore off, would they still remember the importance of Mrs. Henderson's story? Would they rally again when the road got tough? Hey, Lily, are you in or what? Sam's voice broke through her reverie. He stood expectantly, a wide grin splitting his face. Of course. She hesitated. I want to make sure we really follow through. This has to mean something. Trust me, he said, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We've got your back. We're in this together now. The words hung in the air, sparking a flicker of hope. Lily nodded, feeling strength in their unity. Still, as the days stretched out before them, a gnawing worry tugged at her heart. Would the camaraderie last, or would it fray under pressure, unraveling the bonds they'd just begun to forge? The week flew by, filled with impassioned rehearsals and laughter. Each afternoon, the gymnasium transformed into a hive of activity. They practiced singing, juggling, and spoken-word performances. Mia's voice soared like a lark during their vocal practice, while others painted banners and planned schedules for the event. Each moment buzzed with possibility. Still, the closer they got to the talent show, the more apprehensive Lily felt. One evening, after a long day, she sat on the bleachers watching the other students work. Their bright enthusiasm glowed under the fluorescent lights. But she couldn't help feeling a sense of disconnect. "Lily. Come here." Mia waved, her cheeks flushed with excitement. "We're debating whether to have our finale be a group number or something solo." Lily forced a smile, approaching her friends. "A group number sounds great. But come on. Don't overthink it. Just jump in." Sam interrupted, playfully nudging her. "We're all in this for Mrs. H and for each other. Don't let doubt dim that light." At that moment, an unexpected warmth filled her chest. Maybe Sam was right. Maybe this was bigger than her fears. They were doing this because they believed, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Suddenly, a thought struck her. What if instead of just asking Mrs. H to perform, we let her collaborate with us? We could include her story in our performances. Excitement rippled through the group, and Lily's heart raced as they began to piece together ideas. Mrs. Henderson could share her journey, weaving it into the fabric of their collective talents, making the show a true reflection of their community. As they brainstormed, laughter bubbled over and each suggestion ignited new energy. The creative spark flickered into an open flame, illuminating each individual's gifts and fears. A sense of unity glimmered bright among them. And yet, deep down, it all felt too good to be true. With hopeful hearts, they dove deeper into their plans, but what would happen if Mrs. Henderson's story revealed something unexpected? Something that would change how they saw one another forever. Lily looked around at her friends. Together, they had begun something beautifully transformative. Still, that quiet question loomed large in her mind. In this effort to uplift, what truths were they truly ready to confront? As the days wore on, the excitement around the talent show grew. Posters decorated the hallways, each a burst of color adorned with promises of incredible performances. Yet, beneath the surface of this thrill, Lily's heart thudded with uncertainty. The urgency of their mission loomed large in her mind. On a particularly bright afternoon, they gathered in the gym again. Mia, Sam, and the rest were huddled around a table. Ideas bounced back and forth like a game of volleyball, enthusiastic voices mixing with laughter. But Lily stood a little way off, feeling both a part of the group and distant. "Hey, Lily. You okay?" Mia called out, noticing her friend's solitary stance. Lily forced a smile and nodded. "Yeah, just thinking." But as she turned her gaze toward her friends, she felt the warmth of their joy almost suffocating. What if Mrs. H's story isn't just uplifting? What if it's painful? The group quieted, their vibrant energy fading as they absorbed her words. Sam looked thoughtful, his brow wrinkling. "You mean like, what if we uncover something that makes us uncomfortable?" "Exactly. I want her to feel safe. This is her story, and it's important," Lily replied, heart racing. "We need to have a plan in case it brings up tough emotions." Mia reached for Lily's hand, squeezing it tightly. "You're right. We should talk about the possibilities. It's not just about the glitz of the show, it's also about real-life impact." A murmur of agreement rippled through the group. It was a small moment, but a powerful one. They were all on the same page now, willing to confront the truth and support each other through whatever lay ahead. As rehearsal continued, laughter returned, a balm for their earlier doubt. But Lily couldn't shake the feeling that the deeper truths still loomed like clouds on the horizon. What exactly did they need to prepare for? In the days leading up to the show, Lily observed Mrs. Henderson from afar. The woman often wheeled herself around in the park, her eyes shining with kindness as she engaged with the kids. But Lily sensed an untold story beneath that warm exterior. A story that could shift everything. Then came the day of the talent show. The gym buzzed with excitement, the air thick with anticipation. Students darted around, making last-minute adjustments. Lily caught snippets of rehearsal echoing through the halls, each peal of laughter mixed with nerves. Somewhere in that whirlwind, a thought struck her. "We should give Mrs. H a chance to speak," she said, surprising even herself. "What do you mean?" Sam asked, pausing mid-stride. "I think she should introduce the show. It could ground us all as we dive into her story. It could make everything more real." The idea hung in the air, heavy and charged. The group's reactions shifted the atmosphere around them, curiosity sparkling in their eyes. Was Mrs. Henderson ready for that? Were they? Before they could discuss it further, the auditorium doors swung open. The crowd roared to life, cheers erupting among friends and family. The tension in Lily's chest tightened. She stood in the wings, the weight of their mission pressed down on her. What if Mrs. Henderson's story unveiled something they weren't prepared for? Something that could unravel the tight-knit bundle of support they had just begun to weave. With a deep breath, Lily glanced back at her friends, who looked to her for guidance. Together, they had built a spark of hope, but how far would that light carry them? As she stepped into the chaotic rhythm of the moment, one question burned brighter than the stage lights: were they truly ready to embrace whatever truth might emerge? Lily took a steadying breath as she stood at the side of the brightly lit stage. The curtains rippled, drawing back to reveal a sea of eager faces, all waiting to witness the magic that would unfold. The excitement was palpable, yet Lily's stomach churned with worry. This wasn't just a performance, it was a chance for Mrs. Henderson to share her truth, and the weight of that felt heavier than any spotlight. Mia squeezed her hand again. "You ready?" Her voice was a whisper, but it held so much strength. "Yeah, I think so," Lily replied, though doubt thickened her words. As the first act took the stage, laughter and cheers filled the auditorium, washing over Lily like a wave. The band played, the dancers twirled, each act brighter and bolder than the last. Yet, with every cheer, her heart skipped a beat. Each moment danced in joy, but the thought of Mrs. Henderson's story hung over them all like a storm cloud. Just as she feared they might become lost in the spectacle, the preliminary acts wrapped up. The lights dimmed slightly, focusing bright beams on the center of the stage. It was time. "Ladies and gentlemen," the announcer's voice boomed through the microphone, "it is now my pleasure to introduce someone special. Please welcome Mrs. Henderson." Nervousness fluttered in Lily's chest as the audience erupted into applause. Mia and Sam exchanged anxious glances with her. They had discussed this moment, but now that it was happening, reality set in. Would Mrs. Henderson feel comfortable sharing? Mrs. Henderson rolled into view, her genuine smile illuminating her face. The crowd's applause lifted her spirit, and she waved, her eyes glistening with gratitude. "Hello, everyone." Mrs. H's voice was steady, yet Lily could sense the tremor beneath. "Thank you so much for this warm welcome. It means the world to me." As the audience quieted, all eyes were fixed on her. Lily felt a rush of pride swell in her chest. This was their courageous Mrs. H, the woman who had faced her own challenges with grace. But what would she choose to reveal? "I have a story to share," Mrs. Henderson continued. "It's about strength, resilience, and the kindness of our community." The audience leaned in, captivated. Lily felt a pit forming in her stomach. Every word Mrs. Henderson spoke could reveal layers of hurt. Would they be ready to support her? As Mrs. Henderson spoke of struggles, isolation, and hope, murmurs of surprise bubbled among the crowd. Each revelation was like peeling back a layer of skin, exposing raw emotions that sparked compassion, empathy, and, most importantly, understanding. Lily watched intently as Mrs. H shared how kindness had changed her life. With every word, it became increasingly clear how remarkable Mrs. Henderson truly was, her experiences weaving a tapestry of triumph through adversity. Sometimes, Mrs. H said, her voice wavering slightly, "It takes a village to lift someone up, and that village is all of you. Thank you for welcoming me into your lives." A heavy silence fell across the gym, then, out of nowhere, a standing ovation erupted. Excitement mixed with an air of reverence. Tears glistened in eyes both old and young. Lily felt a rush of relief and pride. They had done it. They had helped create a space where Mrs. Henderson could share her truth without feeling alone. But then doubt flickered again. As she looked out into the audience, she wondered, were they ready to carry the weight of her story beyond this moment? Mia leaned in close, her voice barely above a whisper. How do we honor her story when this is over? Lily's mind raced with possibilities. They wouldn't just stop here. They would keep the kindness flowing, make this moment last. With a heart full of emotions both exhilarating and terrifying, she replied, "We'll find a way. Together. For Mrs. H, and for all of us." But what exactly would that plan look like? And could they truly carry the torch of kindness beyond just one night? The questions lingered, heavier than ever, leaving Lily to wonder what next step awaited them after revealing such a profound truth. As the applause echoed in her ears, Lily stood frozen for a moment, absorbing the energy radiating from the crowd. Mrs. Henderson's raw vulnerability had struck a chord deep within her, igniting a fire of determination that she didn't know she possessed. But now, with the curtain almost drawn on this chapter, the weight of what would come next loomed larger than ever. The crowd began to filter out, the initial excitement giving way to the easy chatter of a community touched by a shared experience. Mia turned to Lily, her eyes wide, brimming with excitement and a hint of fear. "What do we do now? We can't just let this fade away." "No, we can't," Lily insisted, her voice gaining strength. "But where do we start?" She glanced at Mrs. Henderson, who was basking in her moment, surrounded by a few audience members eager to express their support. Each kind word she received seemed to lift her higher, and Lily felt a warmth in her heart watching the joy spread across Mrs. H's face. "Maybe we organize something," Sam said, joining the conversation. "A charity drive or a community event. Something that connects us back to Mrs. Henderson's story." "That could work," Mia enthused. "But we need to make it meaningful, not just for the sake of doing something." Lily pondered their words, tapping her fingers against her thigh. The idea of a charity event wasn't new, but connecting it to Mrs. Henderson's story gave it weight. What if we create a platform where stories like Mrs. H's can be shared? Maybe even a blog or a series of workshops. We'd invite people from all walks of life, so they can speak up and be heard too. Sam's eyes lit up. "That's brilliant. We can encourage people to come forward with their experiences, just like Mrs. Henderson did tonight." "What about the kids in school?" Mia suggested. "They could get involved too. If we start early, we can build a culture of kindness that lasts longer than just this one event." Excitement pulsed through Lily like electricity. "We'll need a team. Let's get others on board, maybe ask Mrs. Henderson if she'd be willing to help him spearhead it. She has so much to offer." As Lily's excitement grew, she caught sight of Mrs. Henderson, who was now watching the three of them with a soft smile. A wave of gratitude flooded through her. It was incredible how one person's story had the power to bind a community together. "Let us go talk to her," Lily said, gesturing for them to move toward her. "We should get her thoughts on this." As they approached, Mrs. Henderson turned her gaze, her expression shifting from contentment to curiosity. "That was beautiful," Lily said, her voice steadying. "We want to create something that honors your story. A way to keep kindness alive in our community." Mrs. H's smile widened, and her eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "I'd love to be a part of it. I believe more stories need to be shared. We all have something to teach one another." Their conversation flowed easily, and as Mrs. Henderson shared her vision, they quickly transformed their idea into something more concrete. A community gathering, a day dedicated to sharing stories and fostering connections, all with Mrs. Henderson's life as the inspirational backbone. By the end of the night, plans were taking shape, and excitement buzzed in the air like fireflies on a summer evening. But just as they were about to say their goodbyes, a sense of apprehension crept into Lily's heart. Would they truly be able to follow through? Could they manage the expectations and emotions that would arise from the community? As they shared a collective goodnight, something stirred in Lily's chest, anticipation mixed with fear. She felt the oncoming rush of responsibility, the weight of leading something so important. The glow of hope flickered against the shadows of doubt, reminding her of Mrs. Henderson's words. Would their mission resonate and take off, or would the wave of enthusiasm fade like so many before it? When would they face their first test, and would they rise to meet it? With these questions swirling in her mind, she stepped into the night, knowing that this was only the beginning. What challenges awaited them ahead, and would their plans hold strong in a world that often struggled to listen? The next morning felt like a fresh canvas. As sunlight poured through Lily's bedroom window, she let out a deep breath, trying to shake off the weight of the night before. She could still hear the echoes of Mrs. Henderson's voice, filled with passion and purpose. Yet, as she stared out at the bright sky, doubts danced in the back of her mind. Mia's text popped up on her phone, breaking the quiet. "Are we still on for the planning session today?" With a quick burst of excitement, Lily responded. "Absolutely. Let's South meet at the park around noon. We'll bring Mrs. Henderson and brainstorm." Just like that, a sense of resolve began to take shape. She grabbed a notebook, the pages empty yet filled with potential. It was time to transform their vision into a reality. At the park, green grass sprawled underfoot, and the sound of children playing filled the air. Mia and Sam were already there, mulling over ideas. When Lily arrived, the three formed a tight circle under the dappled shade of an oak tree. Mia's face lit up when she saw her. "I've been thinking about how we can get the school involved. What if we set up storytelling booths? Kids can share their own stories or listen to others. It could spark so much connection." "That's perfect." Sam nodded. "We can also have art stations making posters, banners, something visual that ties back to the event." Lily glanced over, her heart swelling with warmth. "Let's not forget the food. We could team up with local cafes for snacks to make it feel even more like a community gathering." As laughter and ideas bounced back and forth, the air thickened with determination. They were creating something special, woven together with the threads of kindness and understanding. But their excitement was interrupted as Mrs. Henderson approached, her wheelchair gliding smoothly over the gravel path. It was like time paused, the three of them turning to face her. "Good to see you all," she said, her voice warm and welcoming. "What are you up to?" Lily stepped forward, her heart pounding. "We're planning the event. We'd love your input." Mrs. Henderson's face lit up. "I was hoping you'd say that." She wheeled closer, the sunlight catching in her eyes. "I want to share my story too, not just so others can feel inspired, but to show that vulnerability can unite us all." Hearing this brought a fresh wave of energy. Lily could see it was more than just their initiative, it was about people coming together, heart and soul. "What if we have a panel?" Lily suggested. "People can take turns sharing their experiences, and we can leave space for questions and connection after each story." "I love that idea," Mia chirped. "It gives everyone a chance to voice their thoughts." Yet just as plans solidified, Lily felt that little spark of doubt flicker again. Would anyone come? Would their event resonate beyond those who already felt connected? What if we don't have enough people sharing? What if it falls flat? Mrs. Henderson seemed to sense her worry. Honey, the beauty lies in the intention, not the numbers. If we can touch even one heart, then we have succeeded. That thought lingered with Lily. Maybe this wasn't just about quantity, it was about authentic connections that could lead to lasting change. The park, the sounds of laughter, and the smiles around her fueled her confidence. As they wrapped up their planning session, a sense of excitement and tension thrummed in the air. Lily felt the weight of their mission on her shoulders, but it also felt lighter, full of hope. But just as they began distributing tasks for the week ahead, a sudden clamor erupted nearby. A child had fallen, and the air was filled with yells. The four of them rushed over, only to see a little boy on the ground, tears streaming down his face while nearby parents moved in to help. Mrs. Henderson's eyes widened in concern. "We can help. Let us show the kindness we want to spread." That moment became a testament. Kindness wasn't just a planned event, it was about being there when it mattered. As they assisted the boy and comforted the worried parents, Lily felt her heart expand. Their community needed this, but perhaps she did too. The seeds they were planting didn't just belong to the event or Mrs. Henderson's story, they belonged to every individual ready to share and listen. Each interaction could lead to something precious. With renewed energy, they ventured back to their meeting spot, eager to dive deeper into their plans. But as they prepared to regroup, second doubts flashed in Lily's mind. Would the challenges they would face be tougher than they anticipated? What if the true test of their mission was yet to come, and they had to prove their strength together? Also, well past the horizon, another surprise waited. Would it reshape everything they were trying to build? The day of the community gathering dawned bright and clear, with the sun beaming down as if blessing the event. Lily's heart fluttered with excitement and nerves as she walked towards the park, the scent of freshly baked goods wafting through the air. You could feel the energy buzzing, families setting up booths, friends laughing, and children running around with painted faces. It felt electric. Mrs. Henderson had worked tirelessly alongside Lily, Mia, and Sam, ensuring that everything was in place for this moment. As she approached the gathering, she felt a knot of anxiety in her stomach, questioning if everything would unfold as they hoped. Would people come? Would they share their stories? Would Mrs. Henderson's message resonate? Pushing through the crowd, Lily spotted a group gathered around the storytelling booth, heads bent together, wrapped in conversation. Her heart soared as she saw kids, with eyes wide open, sharing pieces of their lives. This was what they dreamed of: real connections forming, walls breaking down, and friendships blooming. Even just one shared story could change someone's perspective, and it was happening right in front of her. "Hey, look who's here!" Sam shouted, waving her over to a central area where Mrs. Henderson was standing. She wore a flower crown made of daisies, a simple yet beautiful touch that made her seem at once regal and approachable. "Everyone!" Lily called, her voice carrying over the crowd. "Can I have your attention, please? I want to introduce someone amazing." The noise settled, and all eyes turned to Mrs. Henderson. She rolled forward confidently, her presence commanding attention like a warm hug. "Thank you, dear ones, for being here today." Her voice was rich with emotion as she began. "This event is not just about sharing my story, it's about all of us coming together, embracing our differences, and celebrating our similarities. Every person has a narrative worthy of being heard." The crowd erupted into applause, and Lily watched, her heart swelling with pride. She caught glimpses of parents nodding in agreement, kids whispering their own stories, all while Mrs. Henderson's sincerity shone through. As the first person shared their story, a soft hush enveloped the crowd. The tales flowed like water, each revealing vulnerability and strength. Laughter and tears mingled together as others joined in, and for every tale shared, the bond between them deepened. Through every fragment of life they offered up, Lily felt that spark of connection, a sense of understanding and empathy building between everyone there. But just as laughter rang out from one story, a little girl stepped hesitantly forward, her hands shaking. I lost my mom," she whispered, her voice trembling. The vulnerability in the air shifted, a solemn weight settling over the crowd. Lily's heart ached for her. Would the community support her? Mrs. Henderson leaned forward, her eyes shining with compassion. That's a brave thing to share, darling. It's okay to feel sad, and it's okay to miss her. You are loved, and you're not alone. We are here for you. The crowd erupted in cheers of support, and slowly, others began to stand alongside the girl, sharing their own losses or similar experiences that connected them. Tears flowed and heavy hearts felt lighter, a collective understanding forming like a patchwork quilt. Lily felt the tears fill her own eyes, but this time they were tears of joy, they were healing. Through all the stories exchanged, every vulnerability shared, it became effortlessly clear, this gathering had become more than just an event. It transcended the initial plans, transforming into a sanctuary of kindness. They were repairing fractured bonds, embracing losing moments, and growing together. As the day drew on, the event crescendoed into an uplifting choir of shared experiences and newfound friendships. But Lily was still left with that question lingering in her mind: would the seed they planted hold firm beyond this day? Could they uphold the kindness and connection they had fostered today? Suddenly, she turned to see Mrs. Henderson, with a sparkle in her eye. "Can you feel it, Lily?" she asked, as the last stories were shared and the sun dipped lower, casting a golden hue around them. "Yes," Lily breathed, her heart filled with hope. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" Mrs. Henderson smiled, her expression one of wisdom and warmth. "Together, we can keep this momentum going. We can establish a tradition, a movement, something that celebrates everyone's stories." "That's exactly what we'll do," Lily agreed, electrified. As they stood together, surveying the remnants of the day filled with laughter, joy, and healing, the resolve to carry that light into their community beyond today burned bright. This was their moment, the moment that would ripple out a charge to bring kindness into their everyday lives. They had begun the transformation, but together they would ensure it blossomed. And so, in that spirit of determination and hope, Lily felt a release. This was not the end but a joyful continuation. With unity sown deep within their hearts, there was no room for hesitation now, only a bright horizon ahead. As the sun set, casting a brilliant glow around them, Lily knew one thing: they were ready to make kindness a way of life, forever. And the journey was only just beginning. If you love this story and want to witness even more incredible transformations, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait not even one more second to hit that bell for future stories that will inspire you. Leave a like right now to support the growth of our community and the power of hope. And please, comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this heartwarming conclusion. We want to hear from you. Finally, share this video instantaneously with at least 5 friends who need to see this beautiful change. It's time to spread the joy and kindness we all deserve.